Okay, it's Monday, September 19th. This is a end of the day SPY recap. And first, let's look at the daily chart and see for the first day of the week, we end up with a green bar that closed near the highs. So we are looking for continuation higher. If you look at this, it is a 2 up bar from the previous day. We didn't take out the low of Friday, 2 up. So now we do have targets up to this area here, which is the midpoint of the prior week. I discussed on the weekend video how if we start up to start the week and we don't really take out these lows first, it's all just an inside bar in here. Doesn't mean it can't go a lot higher, but in the moment it's just all inside price action, which means that if it stays that way for the rest of the week, we'll have to see where it goes next week to really determine the true trend of the market. And at any point in here, at least at this point, I'm still looking at this big red bar and thinking we should take out the lows at some point. So maybe this is the first day up, maybe we get another day up, but there could be a reversal at any time, especially if we hold the midpoint and we don't really reach our targets. If something happens where we go up and then, tomorrow we get a 2 up bar, we don't reach these targets, and then you get some kind of 2 down bar, that'll be a good sign that we're probably getting ready to take out not only the lows of today, but the lows of the week and onto some of the bigger picture areas. But anyway, at least for today, that wasn't the case. There was always a possibility that we were gonna, after this little green bar on Friday, possibly start up a little bit before heading lower, or before or just continuing higher. But anyway, today, in terms of how it formed, if we go to the 15-minute chart, and this is why I always look at this, you have the pre-market high and low range in here, and immediately we had the green bar that popped up, the first bar of the day above that range. So if you really look at the trades today, or the simple way I tend to look at things, both at the open and then any kind of secondary trade, what it was there was definitely a buy signal on this second bar here to head up, and that moved up and took out the high of yesterday. Then you had an orderly pullback, and then another, kind of a hammer bar, and then a move up right here for another buy signal that took out the high of the day. So there was just initial push in, and everything was above the pre-market high. So that's why the bias was always to the upside all day. Now, I know I shot some videos describing how on this first move I was a little skeptical of it, and how I thought this move here might not make it to the high of the day. But in terms of just pure price action, there was nothing that would have really gotten you short in any way. I discussed here at the beginning, even though I didn't trust it, maybe I wouldn't have gotten long. I said, if you're going to get long, let it play out in case we fail here. If we did fail here, we would have come back down into this range and below the midpoint of the first bar, and that never happened. So, I was thinking that might happen here, but let's say it didn't, you just missed that. I did discuss how if the trend was up on the day, then wait for the first pullback, and that was right here. And I shot a mid-morning video showing how this was a buy signal, even though I was skeptical that it really looked perfect. Nevertheless, I said if you get some kind of big failure, then maybe we can start heading down here. But in this case, once we got a little bit of a pause in here, it's really not a failure bar. All we did was grind lower here to the middle of this first of just one bar. So that was kind of like a bull flag kind of look. There was no real rejection in here. And then eventually by the end of the day, we moved to the highs. And that's kind of what this secondary move is all about. You're kind of going to intraday high or low, in terms of where the next target is. And, for me personally, I actually, at this point, once the market was heading up, I'll click on, I bought Tesla here, kind of just, I was kind of watching the market, not doing much of anything, waiting for a breakdown, but it never happened. I mean, on the SPY, and I ended up buying the broadening, the secondary move on Tesla to the upside. I think I bought the calls here at the 305 calls at 755, and they closed at 940. So I'm going to hold on to them and just see if we get a little follow through on Tesla. I mean, Tesla has a target. That's another reason too. It's one of the stronger stocks. 2 up day today, and we're targeting these highs up here near 314. So, we'll see if we, if we get at least a little follow through tomorrow. And head higher. And like I said, I do expect the SPY to definitely, yeah, if it's green bar, you expect it to head up a little bit tomorrow. And now, finally, to get the reversal back to the downside, it's going to take a little time or a little real negative price action. Number one, we'll see where the opening range is tomorrow. If we break below that, maybe this is just a one-day wonder. We have an opening range somewhere, in the middle of this bar, and then it immediately starts down. Another way it could happen is some kind of two-up failure. We could start up tomorrow and then come below at that point, we're going to have to see something that breaks below the low of the day, the low of the pre-market, and breaks below the midpoint of the prior day. So, and here's the open of the week. If you look right, I can move this blue line now. That has to really be taken out. The open of today is the open of the week to really start the next week to the downside here. So we'll look for that as well, and then see if it happens, how much continuation you get. So anyway, for today, green bar, price action all day was really up right from the start, even though you could have been skeptical of it. There was no real reason to go short, and the worst that could have happened was you missed some longs, or I put out a thing where this was a buy signal right in here. So if you took it, the target was the high of the day, which was reached. So anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Now it's going to take a little time, unless we get a real negative opening. Reversals are going to take a little time, I think, but we're going to watch for price to continue higher here towards these targets. The key, we'll go with certain price action that starts heading up there. If you want to, trade it and see if we get there, that's kind of the short-term trend at the moment. But any failure to head up here is going to, to reach these targets, to my opinion, and I mentioned this on the weekend video, could be exciting to get back short again. And we'll just see how, by maybe the middle of the week to start back down. But you never know. We could be heading up 5 days in a row. And if we take out these two targets, then this is the next target. And all of a sudden, who knows what kind of a week we may get here. Again, Federal Reserve on Wednesday. So that's going to be interesting to see how the price action plays out. But anyway, that's for today. Green bar. And we'll just have to continue, the buys to the upside until proven otherwise right now, but also keeping an eye on the fact that this weekly low still hasn't been taken out and probably would be, logically should be based on this big red bar at some point this week. We'll keep an eye on anything that kind of looks like it's reversing, and that could be, a pretty exciting trade, but, we'll have to just let price action lead us there.